You see, for most of your life, you have been taught to believe that you are a small, lonely, trembling creature, locked up somewhere behind your face, staring out at the world, as if the world were something happening to you, and not something happening through you. And yet, if you sit quietly, very quietly, and listen to the hum beneath your thoughts, you'll feel something strange, almost uncomfortable, as if the boundary you think exists between you and everything else is made of smoke, because the moment you look for this I, this isolated little pilot inside your head, you find nothing solid, nothing fixed, only a swirl of sensations, memories, desires, fears, all drifting like clouds in an open sky. But the sky is not afraid of its clouds. And you see, this is where the great misunderstanding begins. We grow up believing that we are the clouds, the stories, the thoughts, the names, and not the vastness in which they appear. We cling to the idea of being separate because it gives us a sense of control, a sense of ownership, a sense of being the author of our own drama. Yet the deeper you go, the more this illusion begins to tremble. For tell me, when did you decide to be born? When did you choose the shape of your face, the language you speak, the beating of your heart? You didn't choose the breath that fills your lungs, yet you call it your breath. You didn't choose the sunlight that nourishes your body, yet you call it your life. And so the question emerges, slowly, like dawn breaking across a silent horizon. If you did not shape yourself, then what exactly is this self you think you are protecting? The truth, if you're willing to let it touch you, is that the self you defend is nothing but a wave imagining it is separate from the ocean. A wave with a name. A wave that trembles at the thought of ending. A wave that forgets it is made entirely of water. But the ocean is never lost. And when you realize this, not as an idea, but as something felt deep in your chest, deep behind your ribs, you notice that life is not a struggle against the world, but the world moving as you. And you moving as the world. Because you cannot stand without the ground. You cannot breathe without the trees. You cannot live without the sun. And so the boundary between self and other begins to wobble, to shimmer, to dissolve. You are the universe, playing a human for a little while, and all your fears, your worries, your anxious tightness about who you should be, begin to fall away, like old leaves, like dust in a beam of light. And you see, you were never alone. And once this realization begins to open in you, even slightly, life starts to feel different, softer, as if the hard edges you used to feel everywhere, the sharp corners of conflict, the heaviness of guilt, the weight of trying to be somebody, begin to melt into something more spacious. You notice that the world around you is not pushing against you. It is participating with you. When you walk, the ground rises to meet your feet. When you breathe, the air rushes in to fill your lungs. When you love, love blooms in someone else's heart and returns to you in ways you never expected. This is because there is no real border, no wall between your life and the life unfolding all around you. But of course, the mind resists this. The mind must resist, because the illusion of separateness is the mind's greatest creation. It gives it purpose, gives it survival, gives it stories to cling to. The ego whispers, "No, no, you are special. You are separate. You must fight, compete, prove, defend. But what happens, truly, when you stop fighting and simply listen? You begin to sense that awareness. The awareness hearing these words right now is not trapped in your skull. It is open, boundaryless, like space itself. And everything has happening in this space. Your thoughts, your emotions, your sensations are appearing and disappearing on their own, like ripples forming on a quiet lake. You do not make them. You witness them. You are the witnessing. And when this clicks, even for a moment, you realize something extraordinary. That every being you meet is made of the same awareness, looking through a different window. The fear of others softens, because they are not others anymore. The grief of isolation lightens, because you were never separate in the first place. The hunger to prove yourself dissolves, because you see that you are already part of the unfolding perfection of existence itself. Imagine a drop of water falling from a cloud, believing it is destined to die when it hits the ocean, only to discover that it was the ocean the entire time. This is you. This is all of us. This is the secret every mystic whispers, every sage smiles about, every child knows before the world teaches them fear. You are the universe experiencing itself in the form of a person for a brief, beautiful, astonishing moment. And when you live from this knowing, not the idea, but the feeling, life becomes less of a struggle and more of a dance, a slow, deep, cosmic dance between what you think you are and what you truly are. And in that dance, there is peace, there is softness, there is freedom, there is a kind of silent joy that does not depend on the world being any particular way, because the separate self was never real. Only the one, appearing as many, was ever here. And so, as this realization settles deeper into you, like a stone sinking through still water, you begin to notice something remarkable, something so simple, so obvious, that you wonder how you ever overlooked it. You never existed alone, not for a moment, not even in your most private thoughts, because every thought you have is shaped by languages you did not invent, ideas you did not discover, worlds you did not create. The you defend, with so much effort, with so much fear, is woven entirely out of everything that is not you. Your body is borrowed from the earth. Your breath is borrowed from the sky. Your heartbeat is borrowed from the ancient rhythm that moves through all life. And your consciousness, that soft, shimmering presence behind your eyes, is not a prisoner inside your head, but an opening, a window, through which the universe looks at itself. Sit with that for a moment. Let it echo, because once you see this, really see it, the illusion of the separate self begins to loosen its grip, not violently, not with a dramatic shattering, but with the gentleness of a rope untying itself, and then, slowly, you begin to live differently, not because someone told you to, not because you forced a new belief, but because separation simply stops making any sense. You find yourself breathing a little more deeply, as if each breath were the world entering you lovingly. You find yourself speaking a little more softly, as if every word were shaping the fabric of reality. You find yourself listening not to react, but to understand, as if every voice you hear were another echo of the same consciousness you carry. And the most extraordinary thing is this: nothing on the outside changes. The world remains chaotic, confusing, beautiful, unpredictable. But your relationship to it changes completely, You stop expecting life to protect your little identity. Because you see that your identity was never little to begin with. You stop trying to control everything. Because you see that life is not something happening against you, but something happening as you. You stop resisting the flow. Because you realize you are the flow. And this shift, this simple shift, is what the mystics have tried to point to for thousands of years. They were never telling you to destroy your ego, or abandon your personality, or reject the world. No, their message was far more gentle, far more human. See the ego as a tool. See the self as a costume. See the world as a stage. And remember, beneath every mask, there is only one actor. And once you understand this, your suffering begins to transform. Loneliness becomes belonging. Fear becomes curiosity. Anxiety becomes energy. And death itself, the final boundary we all dread, changes its shape entirely.